Creepy agent. I don't know if I'm just being too paranoid, but I figured my story would fit here. And you guys will tell me what you think. I recently put up a resume on Sexy Jobs. It's a website where fledgling porn stars can branch out and meet professional sites that will help them begin their career. I've had a few 100% legitimate companies contact me, send me proof that they are real and not simply people looking to take advantage of naive people, until Jay contacted me. Jay called my cell before sending my profile a message. A no-no on the site. But I figured he was just eager to get going. He called about 5 times and texted me another 4 before I noticed. I had my phone on mute. During the conversation, he explained how he was a producer for a new TV show called 4 for the One, about 4 girls living and dating one man, and that he already had one girl on set, Caitlin. I could hear a female in the background, which set my mind at ease a little bit. He went on to tell me he refused to hire black girls, mixed girls, or fat girls, as they seemed to cause a lot of drama. He went on to tell me he loved my photos and was surprised that I had never worked in the adult industry before. He asked me if I'd be willing to relocate to Nevada for the duration of the show, 1 year. I said that wouldn't be a problem. He said he would send me a burner phone and a Greyhound bus ticket overnight, and that he expected me to arrive there by November 1st. I spoke to a girl on the phone as well who said she was Caitlin, but something seemed off. I can't put my finger on it, but I had a sick feeling in my stomach, and after we hung up, I texted him and asked him for photos of the house, along with an address, what company he worked for, and a picture of him and Caitlin together. He emailed them to me. His email name was not the name he gave me through the phone. Again, not that odd. Some people working in adult acting use stage names. The pictures of the house were decent, but when I looked closer, there was no way there'd be enough room for 5 people living there. Also, in the bathroom photos, I only saw 1 bottle of shampoo for men. Nothing that would indicate Caitlin would be working there. He sent me a photo of Caitlin alone. A very pretty young woman. But the photo also looked like it could be a Shutterstock photo, as it was from the waist up and against a beautiful field. I reverse Google searched and found her photo. My anxiety was getting higher, but at this point in my life, I needed a deal like this. So I emailed him back, asking again for the address, and specified I wanted a photo of the 2 of them together. He did not respond until early this morning, stating he changed his mind and refused to work with me, seeing as he was willing to send me a phone and money to come there, and I still didn't trust him. I feel bad that I didn't trust him now, considering he was going to send me those things. But I also feel that my requests weren't that bad. What do you guys think? Don't ever leave a key under your mat. So this happened when I was in 7th grade. A 12-year-old, at the time, it was just my mom, my brother and I living in a rental in a rundown, low-income area. We moved in during the summer before the school year started, and were welcomed by our next-door neighbors, which wasn't too uncommon, but not super common at the same time for that area in Oregon. My mom worked 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. So my little brother and I would ride the bus home every day from school. My cousins would also sometimes ride back to my house with us, and her parents would pick her up later. Important for that later. One day, when I came home, I noticed our only small laptop we own was gone off the counter. I figured my mom had moved it. Later, when my mom came home, we determined it was missing and that a lot of other things were missing, like my iPod and wallet and my mom's safe with her handgun in it, and lots of family valuables. We called the cops and reported a robbery, and they came to investigate. They determined the person probably slid through the doggy door and leading into the garage, and then entered the house through our unlocked garage door. Cops stayed in their cars on the curb all night and said they would stay on watch for our house more than normal. I was terrified all night, and my brother and I slept in my mom's room. The next day, we locked all our doors, and it was Wednesday and was a random half day at my school, so I rode the bus home around noon, and my cousin came with. While my brother went to a friend's house for the afternoon to hang out, I used the key under the mat my mom leaves for me, and my cousin and I hung out for about an hour or two until her mom came and picked her up. After she left, I heard the doorknob of the closet right next to the front door slowly open, and out comes this skinny, what looked like a 35-year-old man that I recognized as our next-door neighbor. He seemed to be constantly shaking, intense eyes, had a really unhealthy look to him because of his extremely sunken-in face. Terrified, I'm in the living room, just standing looking at him while he looks at me. With a surprised look on his face, I think he thought everyone left when my cousin did, until his face changed to an amused smirk when I believe he realized that I was alone in the house. He begins to walk towards me, while I stand there shocked. Not sure what to do, he grabs me really hard on the shoulders and tells me I'm pretty. He then begins to pull me into him, to, I think, lick me. I don't know. He seemed crazy and excitable with his intense eyes. I instinctively jump and buckle my knees to allow my full weight to be the force that rips me from his grips and fall on my butt. He then bends down for me when I heel kick him in his nuts as hard as I can. No, I played soccer at the time and practiced wrestling with older neighbor kids a lot. He then yells and falls to his knees, cupping himself. I use that time to run past him to my front door. I open it and run to a kid I rode the bus with's house about 6 houses down. He and his mom were there, and she called the cops, and my mom, while I waited. The cops got to the house and he wasn't there, but had managed to steal a few more small valuables. I gave my testimony that it was our next door neighbor, and he was later caught that same day selling some of our stuff at the pawn shop in town. He ended up being a crystal meth addict, stealing our stuff to sell and pay for his addiction. He was super weak from all the drug abuse, which is probably why I was able to get away from him. He also was apparently somewhat high, which he claimed heightened him sexually, which is why he spontaneously decided to attack me, being that I was alone. Also, though he looked like in his mid-late 30s, he was only 26. He'd apparently watched us for a few months, learning our schedules for when we left and got home. He took the time to take the key from under the front doormat while we were gone, get a copy, and then put the original back under the mat for my brother and I to use when we got home. The cops were surprised he was smart enough to do that, as he seemed to be mostly dim-witted with everything else due to the drug abuse. Either way, I testified against his physical attack, and he got a few decades of jail time, being that he was already on parole for drugs. I was terrified and slept in my mom's room for the next year. So, let's not ever meet again, creepy meth-addicted neighbor. Edit. Even though it was really emotional to watch my mom, who worked around 3 jobs, mentally break down from the news that I was attacked and that what little we had was stolen, in the end, because we had renter's insurance, we got a good amount of money back to replace most of the things we lost with new, better working versions. It ended up being quite a great thing in the long run. Always watch your back, even in a park. Hello. This happened to me about 1 hour ago, and since I am an avid L&M reader, I decided that I could share my story with others. I am currently living in Romania. It's a country where you can't encounter such situations that often. I was in the park doing some cardio while outside was raining like hell. I know, not a really good time to do that, but the weather never stopped me from doing things. While I was running on an alley, I noticed on the opposite side a man in his 50s that was just passing by. At first, I thought that the guy wanted to take some fresh air, or he was waiting for someone. However, after some small amount of time, he started staring at me for like 10 minutes while at the same time circling the area. After about 15 minutes, we crossed paths. I must add the fact that I am not easily scared nor surprised by weird behaviors from people in general. I am a pretty paranoid person when it comes to someone acting strange. When he was about 1 to 2 feet away from me, he asked, "Aren't you tired from running that much?" Which I replied, "No, I'm fine. I'll take some rest if I need to." Before getting a little closer to me, I tried to check his hands since I wanted to make sure that he doesn't have any knife or nor dangerous object. He then took me under his arm like I was a kid for him, and he wanted to act nice, which, however, I got pretty surprised by the gesture since I am over 20 plus years old and I'm not even looking that childish. I didn't see the reason for the gesture, so when I felt his hand approaching, I got pretty defensive and I was about to put him to the ground. Since we were alone in the park and I noticed his weird type of behavior, I then decided to walk 3 steps to my left before he said this. "I'm looking for a boy." He told me that he will come to meet here. I repeat, a boy, not a man. So, first red flag. Which I then replied, "Which kind of boy? Maybe I've seen him around and I can help you." Of course, I didn't see anyone. It was rainy and windy outside. There were barely 2 to 3 people on the streets, but in a park. I just wanted to see what is he up to. Then he said something very odd. A boy that promises many things and does many things. Second red flag. I then told him that I didn't meet any boy, and I continued my cardio. He then took an opposite route from the park to a smaller alley that leads to an abandoned, closed little shack and some trees. However, since he was still in my visual range while I was running, I tried to keep an eye on him because that's not an area where a normal person would go. After like 4 minutes, I noticed him pulling down his pants. I thought that he wanted to pee or whatever. Nothing strange at first. 30 seconds after, I noticed him wanking off behind a tree while looking at me. Since nothing surprises me anymore on this planet, I decided to continue my cardio and act like I didn't see him. After about 30 minutes, I decided to leave and exit from the park area. While I was walking near a bus station, I noticed him staying there, staring at me. That made me pretty angry, and I decided to walk exactly past him. When we made eye contact, he started smiling. Not a normal type of smiling, but that smile of a psychopath. I didn't show him any expression, and I left him there. Even though he really deserved a beating for what he did, it's not my first encounter with weird people, but I thought that this one deserves to be posted here. I am sorry for any grammar mistakes, if I had any, since I'm not a native English speaker. I hope that the story was pretty entertaining though. I tried to explain every bit of detail, and yeah, this one is 100% true.